The following is a narration from the Estero Fire Rescue Firefighter Manual, revised on 9/23, Chapter 7 through 12. Chapter 7, Ground Ladders. Ground ladders. EFR has two basic ladder complements. One is for engines and one is for ladders. EFR has been using Alicolite brand ladders but is transitioning to the Duo Safety ladders as we purchase new ones. Engines and squads carry Alicolite brand ladders. Engines and squads carry a 10-foot attic ladder, 14-foot roof ladder, 24-foot extension ladder, A-frame ladder, 6-foot shorty ladder. Ladder 42 carries Duo Safety ladders, carries one 14-foot roof ladder, one 16-foot roof ladder, two 24-foot extension ladders, one 35-foot extension ladder with 3 sections. One 16-foot roof ladder is on the stick. One 10-foot attic ladder is on the stick. One 14-foot Fresno ladder, A-frame ladder, and a 6-foot shorty ladder. Ladder 41 carries Duo Safety ladders. Ladder 41 carries one 14-foot roof ladder, 24-foot extension ladder, 35-foot extension ladder with 3 sections, one 10-foot roof ladder on the stick, one 10-foot attic ladder on the stick, one 6-foot shorty ladder. Ladder 49 carries Alicolite except for noted. Ladder 49 carries one 16-foot roof ladder, 24-foot extension ladder, 35-foot extension ladder with 3 sections, which is a Duo Safety, 16-foot roof ladder on the stick, 10-foot attic ladder on the stick, one 6-foot shorty ladder. Weight, width, and height. 14-foot roof ladder, Alicolite, 18.5 inches wide, 42 pounds. 14-foot roof ladder, Alicolite, 18.5 inches wide and 42 pounds. 14-foot roof, Duo Safety, 19 inches wide and 28 pounds. 16-foot roof, 18.5 inches wide and 48 pounds. 24-foot extension ladder, 14 feet in length when bedded, 21 inches wide, 75 pounds. Duo Safety 35-foot extension ladder with 3 flies, 15.3 feet in length, 129 pounds. Alicolite 35-foot extension ladder with 3 flies, 15.8 feet in length, 25 inches wide, 175 pounds. Preferred sizes: 14-foot or 24-foot extension, non-extended, to under sill for 2nd-foot floor. Most residential windows in Estero are 12 feet to the sill. 24-foot extension ladder will get roof and 3rd floor window. 16-foot roof, a little high for 2nd floor window. Ladder carries balance points. The balance points on the ladders should be marked. This represents the optimal position to grab the ladder for 1-person carry. Low shoulder carry. Place the inside arm between the rungs by or at the center of the balance point and grasp the upper beam of the ladder in the front rung so the rung will rest against the arm to keep it in from twisting. Rise to a standing position with the ladder resting on the shoulder. The outside hand takes hold of the most comfortable rung in front of the chest for stabilization and balance. The butt end of the ladder should be tilted slightly downward to allow for a clear forward vision. High shoulder carry. Identify the center of the ladder. Position yourself at the top 1/3 of the ladder and face it. Squat down and grasp hold of the closest beam with both hands. Lift the beam from the ground and step in towards the ladder, allowing it to rest on its outside beam. So the bed of the ladder is now next to you. Lift the tip of the ladder, leaving the spur on the ground as you come to a standing position. Move towards the butt, raising the tip until you can step under the lower beam with your shoulder at the center of the ladder. Lift the butt end off the ground. The inside hand takes hold of the bottom beam to secure the ladder to the shoulder. The outside hand grasps the upper beam for the best stabilization and balance. Ladder raises. Flat raise. Use the building to butt the ladder and walk the ladder up until vertical position. Raise the ladder to desired height and kick out the butt. Beam raises. 1-person low shoulder carry. Grasp the top beam with the outside hand while removing the inside hand from between the rungs to grasp the lower beam. To help support the weight and keep the balance of the ladder during the movement of the hands, lift the inside knee up to support the lower beam. If necessary, raise the ladder up onto the lower beam, and when almost to vertical, pivot the ladder 1/4 turn so the fly is closest to the building. When the ladder has come to a vertical position, it shall be footed. This technique to raise the ladder is to be completed in a quick and smooth manner to keep the butt of the ladder from sliding out. 1-person high shoulder carry. Raise the ladder up on its lower beam. When it's almost to vertical, Pivot the ladder 1/4 turn so the fly is closest to the building. Again, when the ladder has come to a vertical position, foot it. 2-person beam raise. Straight in is easy. Most challenging beam raise is diagonal beam raise if you don't have a large area to work from. The buttman's job is to locate the middle of the window and estimate 4 foot out as a final resting place of the butt of the ladder. Once the buttman has become the counterbalance, the tipman raises it. As the tipman raises the ladder, the buttman rotates the ladder into the building. This should line up just right. Bed to building will end up to fly out. If the box we need to put up a ladder is on the left, we need to stop and pause long enough to flip the fly section. The fly section should be on whatever side we are going to raise on. If you screw up, or if you raise the ladder fly in, it's okay. Shooting the ladder. This method keeps the firefighter out from under the ladder in case a victim looks like they may jump. This is also a good move if you're working with a firefighter that you don't work much with. You need to stop and reposition, but this allows you to get on the same page for a minute. Front firefighter moves back. Back firefighter moves to the other side, both keeping eyes on the building. Grab rungs behind the balance point and grab beam in front of balance point. Shoot the ladder up to the victim. Ladder placement. Windows. Standard placement. Tips at or below windowsill for entry or egress. Vinyl siding, very slippery. May choose to put the tip just inside sill to help with lateral movement of the top side. Most common second floor window height in Estero is 12 feet. Roof. Ladder placement on a roof. The ladder should be 3 to 5 rungs above the roof line. 2 clicks for 1-story standard, 9 feet. 4 clicks for 1-story height roof, 12 feet. 9 clicks equals full extension for the second floor. Floor roof will result in 2 to 3 rungs above. 9-foot roof line. 14-foot bedded, 2 rungs above. 9-foot roof line, 2 clicks, 4 rungs above. 12-foot roof line, 24 feet, 4 clicks, 3 to 4 rungs above. 20-foot roof line, 24 feet, fully extended, 2 to 3 rungs above. The proper climbing angle should be 65 to 75 degrees. To achieve the proper climbing angle, divide height by 4. This will give you how far out it needs to be. You can go more exaggerated. Window plus ladder plus conditions equals angle. Increasing angle will increase the chance of kickout, especially if on concrete. If on uneven terrain, you may use a wedge or a ladder chalk. If there is no one to foot the ladder, you could use a Halligan. Fly out is a preferred method. Fly in is permissible. There is a minimal reduction in ladder capacity of 4% when using a fly-in position. Fly-in allows the firefighter to use the halyard to ease the ladder into the building. With exaggerated angle, may be able to match the pitch of the roof on steep pitched roofs. When the fly is in, when removing victims, they can become hung up on the base section on the way down. Miscellaneous ladder information. Butting the ladder. Butting the ladder prevents it from kicking out and should be done whenever possible. If a ladder is in soft terrain, such as sand or dirt, it has relatively small chance of kickout. Facing the building is optimal butting or heeling position. This keeps the firefighter facing the building, keep the firefighter out of the drop zone, and allows for the weight of the firefighter to keep the ladder in position rather than use the strength of the grip. Leg locks. Leg lock opposite the side you're working off for balance. Traditional leg locks are hard to get out of. Hook in leg lock or the hill, place boot in center of desired rung. Lift other leg over the rung and back on the same rung or on tip of another boot. Hyperextended leg lock. The press out. With both boots on the same rung, simply press the knees outward onto the beams. Marry the alternative leg lock with an arm lock. When using a tool, insert the non-working side arm through the ladder. This will lock you in with both hands on the tool. Bury the knee, OFD, to the ladder with a steep incline. Halyards. Open halyard. Halyard is tied to the bottom of the fly section. The other end is free. When stowing, this open end is tied off to the ladder. To raise a ladder that has an open halyard, it must first be united. This increases the time it takes to raise. EFR does not have ladders with open halyards. Closed, both end halyard are tied off, one to the fly section and one to the base section. This system does not require any untying before raising. Tying the halyard prevents an inside crew from raising the ladder above the window from inside in order to get a higher anchor point. Tying the halyard is good if there's a victim at a window. They may try to grab the ladder, which will unlock the dogs. If you tie off the excess rope of the halyard for any reason, do not tie fly section to the bed section. You'll have to untie before raising if you need to adjust. Maintenance and inspection. Visually inspect ladders daily. A daily inspection should include checking of the halyard, check for fraying, the rivets and rungs, and make sure the ladder is secure to the unit. Inspect after every use. Inspect third Wednesday of the month, which includes inspect for damage or wear. Inspect all components. Raise the ladder fully if possible. Wash and dry the ladder. Lubricate dogs and hooks. Clean the ladder with running water and a brush. Use a mild soap if needed and/or solvents. Chapter 8. Ropes. Basic rope on all apparatus. White rope, 1/2-inch rope. Life safety, 200 feet. Colored rope, 1/2-inch rope. Utility, 100 feet. Yellow rope, 7 millimeters. For RIT and rescue, 200 feet. Orange rope for water rescue, 8 millimeters. Estero rope collection, 200-foot white 1/2-inch life safety line and equipment. Application, basic life safety setup for all frontline apparatus minus engine 43. Can be found in a rope compartment in a black rope bag. Equipment, clutch, anchor strap, edge protection, carabiners, webbing, and prusik. 100-foot colored 1/2-inch utility line. Application, multi-purpose utility line. Can be found in a rope compartment in the red bag. 1 carabiner inside. 200-foot RIT 900 6.8 millimeter rope. Application, RIT, large area search. Utility, MBS 4,136 pounds. High heat tolerance. Can be found in RIT compartment in yellow shoulder bag with non-locking carabiner. Additional equipment for ladders. Stokes bridle. Purcells. Victim. Rescue harness. Squad 43. Red rig tech bag. TTRS. Twin tension rescue system. This bag is our primary rigging bag for most operations. Blue rig tech bag. Vortex small compartments and spare rigging equipment. Orange rope bag, 4-to-1 pre-rig with 300 feet of orange lifeline. Yellow rope bag, 300 feet of yellow lifeline. Blue and red rope bags, 200 feet of blue and red lifelines. Blue harness bags times 2. 2 harnesses in each bag with prusiks and carabiners. Aztec Mini, 4-to-1 rope bags times 4. Blue duffel bag times 2. Vortex legs, 5 bag. Blue rig tech bag, Vortex. A-frame head, blue. Gin pole head, orange. Pin bag, orange. 17 leg, 4 head pins. 8 millimeter cord. Hobble strap, 3. 10 aluminum carabiners. Clutch with DNA carabiners times 2. Omni single pulley times 2. Omni double pulley. Gibbs ascender times 2. Anchor straps times 2. Webbing, 40 feet, 30 feet, 20 feet, 15 feet, and 10 feet. Prusik, green X, green times 2, red times 2. Plastic edge protection and anchor plate. Red rig tech packs. TTRS, clutch with DNA carabiners times 2. Omni single pulley times 2. Omni double pulley times 2. Single rescue pulley times 2. Gibbs ascender times 2. Carabiners aluminum times 6. XL carabiners aluminum times 2. Steel carabiners times 2. Anchor plate times 2. Anchor strap times 2. Anchor strap quick link times 2. Prusik, red times 5. Green times 5. Webbing, 40 feet, 30 feet, 20 feet, 15 feet, and 10 feet. Canvas tarps Edge Pro times 2. Plastic Edge Pro. Anchor strap Edge Pro times 2. Orange 4-to-1 pre-rig. 300 feet of static pro rope. Rescue hauler 4-to-1 pulley system. 2 aluminum carabiners. Chapter 9. Communications. Run notifications. Come in the forms of station tones, radio, rig or portable, MDC, Active 911, or tablet command. Radio channels. EFR is part of the South Fire Departments. We are dispatched on Dispatch 3. North Fire Departments are dispatched on Dispatch 2. Lee County EMS is dispatched on Dispatch 1. And then they switch to the channel that the fire department is on. Dispatch 2 or 3. When multiple units go on a run, we get a TAC channel. The typical TAC channels for South departments are TAC 4 through 7. Talking on radios. Officer will acknowledge runs over the radio. If not in quarters, officer will acknowledge and give location. Plain English is appropriate for most radio traffic. Radio codes. Signal 2, altered mental status from alcohol and or drugs. Signal 4, motor vehicle collision. Signal 7, deceased. Signal 20, psychiatric patient. 1018, lights and sirens. 1018X, no lights or sirens. 1024, Mayday, need help code. Signal 15, special assignment. Mobile repeaters. All frontline rigs are equipped with mobile repeaters that receive lower level signals and transmit them at higher levels. This should be used in large commercial buildings, multi-floored structures, anywhere where reception is responding poor. To use a repeater, press the middle button, the DVRS once. Screen display will read VR off. Press first button mode until screen displays reads VR system. There are 3 settings: VR system, VR local, and VR off. Turn the channel select knob on. Turn the channel select knob on the right side of the radio to desired channel A, B, C, or D. Press the second SEL to lock in selection. Repeater is now activated and ready to transmit at a higher powered signal. On portable radios, repeater channels are locked on zone 15 on our portable radios. The responding lieutenant must announce over the assigned TAC channel the repeater is activated and which VR channel is being used. TAC channel 1 and TAC channel 4 are designated VRA. TAC channel 2 and TAC channel 5 are designated VRB. TAC channel 3 and TAC channel 6 are designated VRC. Dispatch 3 and all of the responding channels are designated VRD, as in Delta. For best results, it is better to have one radio on the assigned TAC channel and one radio on the designated repeater channel in Zone 15. This should not be an issue since we are assigned to a minimum of teams of 2. Radio traffic will be transmitted over both channels. This will ensure that all radio communication is received. To turn repeater off on mobile radios on the rig, push the middle DVRS button. Press mode button until screen displays VR off. Turn channel select knob back to channel A. Push second select button. The repeater is now off. Chapter 10, PPE. All operation personnel will use the following as a minimum requirements for the proper use of protective clothing and equipment. For situations not specifically identified, the company officer or incident commander will determine the appropriate level of protection for his or her personnel. Full structural protection is defined as boots, bunker pants with liner, bunker coat with liner, fire gloves, helmet, SCBA, and hood. Wildland gear is defined as boots, leather boots or structural boots, pants, helmet, jacket, and gloves. Required use during emergency responses. Initial response. All personnel shall wear protective clothing and seatbelts when responding to emergency incidents on Estero fire rescue apparatus. Drivers of the apparatus have the option to not don their PPE until they arrive at the scene. Exceptions. Personnel responding to assist an emergency medical service unit on extrication incidents, automobile accidents with injury, construction accidents, etc. shall be required to wear full protective clothing en route to the incident and throughout the completion of the on-scene operations, unless the incident commander reduces the level of protection. All personnel operating at an incident on roads or highways shall wear the structural coat or safety vest to enhance visibility. Personnel shall not be required to wear protective clothing en route to or on the scene of a medical emergency or public service call where a hazardous condition or exposure is not expected. All personnel shall have a complete turnout ensemble with them on the apparatus. Personnel responding to a suppression-related incident in a brush rescue staff unit may delay donning the protective clothing ensemble until after they arrive on the scene. Personnel involved in patient care on advanced life support units are not required to wear personal protective equipment except for exposure protection components. Personnel providing patient care during vehicle extrication operations shall wear appropriate protection, i.e. helmet, eye protection, coat, etc. Personnel involved in brush or wildland fires may wear wildland gear or structural gear, minus SCBA. If structural gear is worn, attention must be made to overheating of personnel. Personnel involved in LZ control must wear eye protection and reflective vest or bunker coat for visibility. Work gloves or extrication gloves may be substituted for fire gloves in situations in which no thermal protection is necessary. Street response. There will be times when suppression units are dispatched to a call while they are available on the radio. If personnel are not wearing the proper protective clothing for the dispatched incident, personnel must don protective clothing upon arrival on the scene before doing any work, or the driver must pull the vehicle to a safe location. To allow personnel to don protective clothing and then respond to the incident. Fire ground and emergency incident use. All personnel shall wear full structural protective clothing when they are engaged in fire suppression activities, or when they encounter IDLH or potential IDLH conditions. When operating during hot weather conditions, the incident commander, in conjunction with the safety officer, shall have the option of allowing operating personnel to remove selected items of their structural gear. During certain situations, i.e. trench rescue, the incident commander may reduce the level of protection clothing worn. When operating during water rescue incidents, i.e. on boats, etc., the turnout ensemble shall not be used. Standard work uniforms and personal flotation devices shall be worn. Command personnel shall utilize protective clothing that is appropriate for the conditions and location from which they are operating. Command personnel shall don full protective clothing when they enter a fire or hazardous area, i.e. inside a burning building. Once the incident is declared under control, or at the discretion of the incident commander, in conjunction with the safety officer, a safe zone shall be established and protective clothing requirements may be reduced. Self-contained breathing apparatus, SCBA, shall be used during all overhaul operations unless otherwise directed by the incident commander or their designee. Premature removal of an SCBA must be avoided at all times. This is extremely important during overhaul when smoldering materials may produce increased quantities of carbon monoxide and other toxic products. The decision to remove the SCBA in routine fire situations shall be made by the fire incident commander based on an evaluation of conditions. Prior to removal, fire areas shall be thoroughly ventilated, monitored for safe levels of carbon monoxide and hydrogen cyanide, and where necessary, continuous ventilation shall be provided. If there is any doubt about respiratory safety, SCBA use shall be maintained until the atmosphere is tested and established to be safe. Atmosphere testing devices shall be used when available. Monitoring shall continue throughout the entire overhaul operation. Our meters alarm at the following levels. Lower explosive limit, LEL. The low alarm goes off at 10%. High alarm, 20%. Carbon monoxide, low alarm, 25 parts per million. High alarm, 100 parts per million. STEL, 100 parts per million. TWA, 25 parts per million. Ammonia, low alarms, 25 parts per million. High alarms, 50 parts per million. STEL, 35 parts per million. TWA, 25 parts per million. Oxygen, low alarm, 19.5%. High alarm, 23%. Hydrogen sulfide, low alarm, 10 parts per million. High alarm, 15 parts per million. STEL, 15 parts per million. TWA, 10 parts per million. Hydrogen cyanide, low alarm, 4.5 parts per million. High alarm, 10 parts per million. STEL, 10 parts per million. TWA, 4.5 parts per million. Once the area is cleared to discontinue SCBA use, a dust mask accompanied by eye protection should be used for the remainder of the overhaul. Routine and training PPE use. Appropriate level of PPE for training will be determined by the company officer or officer in charge for the training evolution. At a minimum, helmets and gloves must be worn at any time during the following is in use. Ladder training, when handling charged hose lines, when handling saws, handling extrication equipment, when power tools are used or checked, saws, extrication equipment, etc. Eye and hearing protection must be utilized. Current PPE specs, bunker gear, fire decks, THL 340, TPP 35, RET 19, 2021. Outer shell, TechGen 71, black, 6.5 ounce. Moisture barrier, Crosstech black, 4.7 ounce. Thermal liner, Core CXP, 1 layer, 5.6 ounces. Class 1 ladder belt. Tool pouch on pants, right side. Bailout pocket on pants, left side. Globe Metro, THL 264, TPP 38. 2017 specs. Outer shell, PBI Max. Moisture barrier, Steadier Gold. Thermal liner, Glide Ice. Class 1 ladder belt. Tool pouch on pants, right side. Bailout pocket on pants, left side. Helmets, Honeywell EV1, Phoenix, TC1, Phoenix, TL2, Boots, Warrington Pro, Hayek's Fire Hunter, and Black Diamond. PPE cleaning and documentation. Estero Fire Rescue employees should evaluate their turnout gear ensembles for cleaning levels after each use. EFR will make every effort to ensure personnel has 2 sets of gear and has access to a second set of gear should he or she need to clean or decon their primary set. Turnout gear ensembles contaminated with CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear terrorism agents should be immediately retired after the confirmation exposure and should not be subjected to cleaning or decontamination. Turnout gear ensembles that are known or suspected to be contaminated with hazardous materials should be evaluated by the wearer under the direction of the safety officer or battalion chief on scene by conducting a preliminary assessment of the extent of contamination and the need for the turnout gear ensemble to be isolated. Tagged or bagged on scene. The contaminated ensemble should be removed from service until the contaminated or suspected contaminant is identified, can receive specialized cleaning as necessary to remove the specific contaminants. Where possible, and where the contaminant and its source have been identified, Estero Fire Rescue should consult the supplier of the contaminant and the manufacturer of the ensemble for an appropriate decontamination agent and process. Turnout gear ensembles that are known or suspected to be contaminated with body fluids should be evaluated on the incident scene under the direction of the company officer on scene by conducting a preliminary assessment of the extent of contamination and the need for the turnout gear ensemble to be isolated, tagged, or bagged on scene. Universal precautions should be always observed by members handling elements known or suspected to be contaminated with body fluids. Soiled or contaminated elements should not be brought into the home, washed in the home, or washed in public laundries. Station extractors should be used, cold water only, Tide Pods or any detergent with pH of 7. Routine cleaning process. Where possible, the contamination levels should be evaluated and cleaning should be initiated at the emergency scene. Ensembles should be isolated whenever possible to avoid cross-contamination. Any dry debris should be brushed off using the stiff brush designed specifically for turnout gear. These brushes will be kept on a hook above the utility sink, located next to the engine bay or workbench. Other debris should be gently rinsed off with water. Heavy scrubbing or spraying with high-velocity water, such as a power washer, should not be used. Where necessary, turnout gear ensemble elements for routine cleaning should be cleaned in the utility sink, located in the corner of the engine bay near the workbench, which is designated for personal protective equipment. Cleaning and decontamination using the following best practices. Heavy soiled or spotted areas should be pre-treated. Chlorine bleach, chlorinated solvents, active ingredients, cleaning agents, or solvents should not be used without the ensemble manufacturer's approval. Protective gloves and eye and face splash protection should be worn. Elements should be thoroughly rinsed. Elements should be inspected and, where necessary, should be re-washed or submitted for advanced cleaning. The manufacturer should be consulted to see if stronger cleaning agents are required. Elements should be air-dried by placing the element in an area with good ventilation. Elements should not be dried in direct sunlight. Helmet. If it is necessary to totally immerse the helmet, the impact cap should be separated from the helmet shell. Each component should be washed and dried separately before reassembly. Solvents should not be used to clean or decontaminate helmets and helmet components. The helmet manufacturer should be consulted if stronger cleaning agents are required. Helmets should not be machine dried using equipment that produces mechanical action from tumbling or agitation. Gloves should not be machine dried using equipment that produces mechanical action from tumbling or agitation. Hoods should be permitted to be washed and machine dried with garment liners. Footwear should not be machine dried using equipment that produces mechanical action from tumbling or agitation. Chapter 11. SCBAs. Currently, Estero Fire Rescue uses the MSA G1 from 2017. EFR uses 45-minute bottles with quick connects. Has 66 cubic feet of air, 4,500 psi, rechargeable lithium-ion batteries for the heads-up display, flashes yellow when low, module shows battery life, replace when battery is half, 3 foot of extended air hose, buddy breathing only, backplate. The handles on the backplate are rated for 500 pounds each. Top attachment point is rated for 1,000 pounds, pull or drag, adjustable belt strap and backrest, alarms. Your pre-alarm sounds at 20 seconds of no movement. After 30 seconds of no movement, you will go into a full alarm. Your low alarm bell rings at 30% of bottle, which is about 1575 psi left. There is a heads-up display in the regulator. Heads-up display, control module, segment 1. All 4 green lights indicates 75 to 100% air. Segment 2, 3 green lights indicates 50 to 74% air. Segment 3, 2 yellow lights in the middle indicates 36 to 49% air. Segment 4, 1 red light to the far left indicates 0 to 35% air. The red button on your pressure gauge activates the alarm if you hold it for 2 seconds. 2 green buttons works key fob, turns pack, and alarm off with the backlight. Digital and analog gauge on air. Miscellaneous information, UAC and URC, male fitting on the bottom left of your pack. Extended air buddy breathing. Open up the straps and hook and loop fastener on the flap of the waist-mounted storage pouch. Locate the manifold end of the emergency breathing hose and remove it from the pouch. Remove the dust cover from the quick connect fitting on the donor's manifold. Open up the snaps and hook and loop on the flap of the receiver's waist-mounted storage pouch. Locate the manifold end of the emergency breathing hose and remove it from the receiver's pouch. Connect the donor's and receiver's manifold blocks using a male and female quick connect fittings with a single action. Each manifold has both male and female quick connect fittings for easier supply or receiving air. SCBA morning checks. Your morning bottle pressure should be above 4,300 psi. Make sure all straps are extended. Check overall condition of SCBA pack. Activate pass alarm and reset. Tag in with key fob. With the unit off, hold both green buttons for 3 seconds. Module turns on. Press red button for RFID symbol. Hold tag over reader on the backplate. Your name will now appear on the screen. To turn pack on, confirm gauges are within 225 psi. Attach mask and breathe normally. Check gauges and heads-up display lights. Turning pack off. Breathe air down. Check alarm at 1,575 psi. RIT bag, MSA G1, 2017, 60-minute bottle, 88 cubic feet, 4,500 psi. Mask is attached to pack. The mask has no voice communications and no heads-up display. Emergency operations, UAC/URC. Universal air connection, universal RIT connection. Any pack will work with URC. The packs will equalize via transfill. Once the packs equalize, you can disconnect. Extended air buddy breathing. Must stay connected 6 feet. Both bottles will breathe off highest pressure bottle. Use when SCBA works but is low on air and mask is intact with no problems. Must attach RIT bag to firefighter needing air. RIT mask is used to swap a broken or missing mask. Must attach RIT bag to firefighter needing air. Regulator swap. For use when air is depleted but mask is intact. For use when there are problems with the firefighter's SCBA pack. Must attach RIT bag to firefighter needing air. Chapter 12. Fire operations. Common terminology. Accountability. The process of tracking personnel and resources on an incident. Adults. Acronym used to indicate when the first line pulled should be 2.5 inch. Rather than inch and 3/4. A. Advanced fire. D. Defensive operations. U. Unable to determine location and extent of fire. L. Uncompartmentalized areas. T. Tons of water is needed. S. Standpipe operations. All clear. Benchmark given when a primary search has been completed by firefighters and no one is inside. Backdraft. A rapid induction of air into an oxygen-starved fire, resulting in an explosion. A CAN report, a verbal update reporting C, conditions, A, actions, and N, needs. Command, the first arriving unit will establish a presence of control to dictate actions to mitigate the incident. Command will be established by providing a size-up, communicating an initial report, and designating the command utilizing a geographical location, i.e., Deal Road command. Additionally, if working with structure, designate the side of the structure where the command post is located. Continuous water supply, a water supply that has been established by utilizing a pressure or static water source that is supplying the fire ground operations. Decay stage, the stage of fire development with a structure characterized by either a decrease in the fuel load or available oxygen to support combustion, resulting in lower temperatures and lower pressure in the fire area. Door control, the process of ensuring the entrance door providing access to the fire area is controlled and closed as much as possible after the search team enters without the protection of a hose line. Steps must be taken to prevent the door from locking behind the entering members. By controlling the door, we're controlling the flow of path of fire conditions from the high pressure of the fire area towards the low pressure area on the other side of the door. Door control also limits fire development by controlling the flow path of fresh air at the lower level of the open door towards the seat of the fire. Engine company. A company comprised of a minimum of 3 personnel that are assigned to a fire department pumper. Entrapment. The victim can move freely within the vehicle, however, is unable to self-extricate due to damage to the vehicle, i.e., the door is jammed. Everyone out. Used to describe those reports from occupants, neighbors, or someone other than firefighters that say no one is inside. Flashover. A transition in the development of a compartment fire when surfaces exposed to thermal radiation from fire gases more than 1100 degrees reach ignition temperature simultaneously. This causes the fire to spread rapidly throughout space, resulting in fire involvement of the entire compartment or enclosed space. Flow path. The movement of heat and smoke from the higher pressure within the area towards the lower pressure areas, accessible via doors, windows, openings, and roof structures. As the heated fire gases are moving towards the low pressure areas, the energy of the fire is pulling in additional oxygen from the low pressure areas. Based on varying building design and the available ventilation openings, doors, windows, etc., there may be several flow paths within a structure. Any operations conducted in the flow path will place members at significant risk due to the increased flow of fire, heat, and smoke towards their position. Fuel-limited fire. A fire in which the heat release rate and fire growth are controlled by the characteristics of the fuel because there is adequate oxygen available for combustion. Full PPE is comprised of protective equipment designed to protect the wearer. This manual refers to full PPE as helmet, no-mix hood, coat, pants, boots, gloves, self-contained breathing apparatus, eye and hearing protection as needed. Heat release rate, the rate at which energy is generated by the burning of fuel and the oxygen mixture. As the heat release rate increases, the heat and smoke production and pressure within the area will increase and spread along available flow paths towards low pressure areas, open doors, windows, and roof openings. Initial report. The initial report will be relayed on the TAC channel, following a size-up by the first arriving unit. The initial report will include a brief description on the incident, a description of the property involved, and initial actions that are being taken. Ladder or truck company. A company comprised of a minimum of 3 personnel assigned to fire department aerial device. Outside vent, OVM. A company or firefighter designated to locate the window to the fire room, and when directed by command or attack, remove or ventilate that window. Personal accountability report. A PAR. A PAR is conducted to account for all personnel on the scene of an incident. A PAR should be called every 10 minutes or less if conditions warrant. Additionally, a PAR should be called if the mode of operations changes or when a significant event has occurred. Pin-in, term used when the victim is physically pinned in the vehicle due to structural integrity of the passenger compartment being compromised, i.e. pinned by the dash, the steering wheel, the roof, the door, etc. Size up, a systematic process of collecting information of the conditions found on an emergency scene. A size-up is a continuous process of monitoring conditions and environmental changes of an incident. Tactical channel, otherwise known as a TAC channel, a radio channel assigned by dispatch that all units will switch to while responding and working in an incident. This channel is designed for communications on an incident scene. Tenability, an assessment on whether units can operate within the fire area based on the conditions encountered and the impact of these conditions to potential victims and members. VES, Vent, Enter, Search, or VEIS, Vent, Entry, Isolate, Search, is the approved tactic when entering a structure through an opening, either a door or a window, to search an area for the location of the fire or to locate possible victims. Priority upon entering the area via a window is to close the door to that room or area to isolate that area being searched from the fire area. When entering a fire area via a doorway entrance, the door needs to be controlled until the fire area is further isolated or a charged hose line is advancing on the fire. By isolating the area, we are controlling the flow path of the fire, heat and smoke towards the ventilation point, as well as controlling the airflow from the ventilation point towards the fire area. Ventilation-induced flashover. A flashover initiated by the introduction of oxygen into a preheated, fuel-rich, smoke-filled, oxygen-deficient area. This phenomenon can occur with legacy content fires, but has become prevalent with modern content fires. Modern content fires rapidly consume more than the available oxygen within the fire area, creating conditions favorable to a possible ventilation-induced flashover. Ventilation-limited fire. A fire in which the heat release rate and fire growth are regulated by the available oxygen within the space. Lee County alarm assignments. Lee County Fire Chiefs Association, in conjunction with Lee County Public Safety, has enacted alarm assignments for all call types except for brush fires, i.e. strike teams and task forces. Definitions. Alarm is a request for a predefined level of additional resources. Single resource requests. The closest unit of a specific type, i.e. engine or a tender. Special resource request. A specific type of equipment, i.e. cascade, light, or SRU. Area command. Pre-designated members of the regional IMT team that report to the EOC and address resources, response, and coverage. Strike team. 5 pieces of equipment of the same type, with a leader and a common communications. Task force. 5 pieces of equipment of different types, with a leader and common communications. Rural area. Any area that is remote in nature and is not serviced by municipal water supply system. MAC. Minimal acceptable coverage levels of a given agency. Procedure. Incidents will be dispatched based on unit recommendations through the Lee control for the incident type determined. Upon arrival, the first unit on scene will give a size-up report and establish command. If additional resources are needed for an incident, the incident commander will need to determine if a single or special resource is needed, or if additional alarms are required. Additional alarms. Second alarm will be 1 chief, 2 engines, 1 ladder or truck. If rural, 2 engines. A third alarm will be 1 chief, 2 engines, 1 ladder or a truck. If rural, 2 engines. Fourth alarm will be 1 chief, 2 engines, 1 ladder or a truck. Rural, 2 engines. Jumping alarms, 1 to 3rd, will respond to the equipment defined in all of the alarms covered. Once a second alarm has been requested, or 2 additional single resources mutual aid units above the initial response, Lee Control will advise all command staff officers through the FD All Command page. Exceptions. A gas leak or odor. Second alarm, 2 engines, 1 ladder. Rural, 2 engines, 2 tenders. Rural structure fires. Second alarm, 2 tenders instead of 1. Brush fires. The current system in place with the strike team, task force concept will be maintained for additional resource requests, and all current policies regarding responses will be adhered to. MAC, minimal acceptable coverage. Minimal acceptable coverage levels have been established by jurisdictions through Lee Control. Agency coverage can be requested by an additional commander or automatically by Lee Control based on call type and initial size-up report. Once area command is established, the regional coverage will be initiated through area command. Incident commanders that request a MAC for their prospective agency will contact Lee Control and advise dispatch to activate their MAC. Dispatch will then locate the closest resource types as identified by the agency and a location for them to report to. Example, Engine 61, move up to standby to Station 74. Dispatch will provide a prompt for incident commanders on certain incidences when providing a 10-minute notification and ask the incident commander if he or she wishes to activate their MAC. The incident commander may or may not activate based upon current actions of a given incident. Incident types that would receive a 10-minute notification and prompt for MAC activation is as follows: aircraft emergencies, explosions, hazmat, prolonged vehicle extrications, brush fires, structure fires, train or rail fires. Additionally, if a given agency is experiencing multiple calls of different types and multiple units are busy, dispatch may ask the shift commander or chief officer if MAC is needed. Anytime an additional alarm is requested, a MAC will be activated automatically. Incident commander or chief officers can request a MAC at any time they feel the need is warranted. Call types. Omega is the least urgent call, may not get dispatched to. Alpha is the least we usually get dispatched to. Echo is the worst. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo. This system is in for both fire and EMS calls. Within the priority dispatch system, Pro QA Fire, there are 25 different chief complaints. or call types. They are numbered from 51 to 75, beginning with aircraft emergency, number 51, and ending with trail and rail fire, number 75. Once the nature of the emergency is determined, the call takers will ask the key questions from within the chief complaint. Once the key questions are answered, the computer assigns a level and determinant of response. Structure fire, such as odor only, may get less than a full structure fire complement based on caller information. If additional callers or information is received indicating that call is worse than first reported, BC needs to upgrade response to full first alarm. Incident command, single unit response, or fire department and EMS, informal. Incidences requiring 2 or more companies, formal command, becomes location command. Example, corkscrew command. Mode of operation, investigating, nothing showing. Offensive and defensive. Assigning units. Units can be assigned or unit number, ladder 41, ladder 42, engine 44, etc. Functions and tasks. Example, attack, ventilation, search, water supply, etc. Location. Example, Division 1, Site Alpha, Bravo Charlie or Delta, etc. Floors are divisions. Sides are letters. Groups. Group leader and several units assigned to that leader. Strike team or task force. Transfer of command. Passing command. Must give next 2 units assignments before going to work. Second in officer must assume command until the arrival of the BC. Transfer of command. Information to be passed on. Announced over the radio. Staging. Level 1 staging. Units on scene awaiting assignments. Level 2 staging. Away from scene. Example, brush fires. Lee County Common Fire Ground Guidelines. The Lee County Common Fire Ground Guidelines have been designed as a reference source for Lee County emergency operations personnel to perform fire ground operations in a systematic means in the most efficient manner possible. This text is provided as a resource to aid in training for operations personnel. This guide should be used in conjunction with the department or Lee County Firefighting Manual for further explanation. Scope. The playbook provides a systematic method for common emergency operations. This manual will not provide directions for all emergencies that fire agencies will face. However, it will provide a basic framework for many incidences faced by fire rescue personnel. The goal of this document is to ensure a seamless operation between departments and a common approach to incident mitigation. In many areas of Lee County, multiple units arrive on scene within a short amount of time. This document is meant to aid the incident commander in giving units the best practices, pre-designated assignments that meet the strategic goal. These assignments can be changed by the IC based on the conditions that are present. Strategic goals are shared beliefs. If we can agree on the shared beliefs, we become predictable to each other. Predictability reduces uncertainty and simplifies what can easily become chaotic. The Lee County Fire Chiefs agree that no other action on the fire ground saves more lives and property than the proper sized attack line placed on the right place at the right time. Water on the fire makes everything better. An appropriate GPM must be chosen for the fire that presents. Appropriate GPM is not dependent on water supply or staffing. We must strive to complete a primary search in the first 10 minutes on scene. A building is not clear until we say it's clear. Search can be assigned without knowing if the entire building can be searched. We rely on our crews to recognize red lights to their search or whatever task they are assigned. If there are critical fireground tasks that need to be completed, it is acceptable to assign those to RIT and backfill RIT with additional units. When in a large structure, commercial or otherwise, it is most advantageous to begin fire attack from the closest entry point to the fire rather than the front door. More resources are always better than not enough. Incident-specific guidelines. Residential structure fires. Residential structure fires consist of 1 to 3 living units, structures that are designed as residential occupancies or homes. Strategic goal. Life safety is the highest priority at all structure fires. The potential for life loss is most prominent in residential occupancies. This objective should be achieved through interior fire containment and primary search. All operational tactics should be assigned to support the strategic goal. The rescue problem should be addressed by a thorough interior primary search for life that focuses on the tenable areas adjacent to the fire area, as well as the bedrooms and means of egress. Coordinated ventilation in this type of structure is critical in facilitating a primary search. This may be achieved through the removal or opening of selected windows where occupants may be located. In most cases, fire extinguishment should be achieved through an offensive interior attack. At times, size up will indicate otherwise. However, personnel should anticipate an interior attack. The conservation of property without undue risk to firefighters should be a strategic goal throughout the entire incident. Initial response: 4 engine companies, 3 engine companies rural, 1 ladder company, 1 chief officer, 1 medic unit, 1 tender rural. Response guidelines: first due attack. The first unit upon arrival will perform a scene size-up, transmit a report of conditions, and establish command. Determine which mode of operations to initiate: investigative, offensive, or defensive. Deploy appropriate equipment and attack line of sufficient GPM flow and length to the fire area capable of confining, controlling, or extinguishing the fire. The initial attack line should be placed between the fire and possible trapped victims. This line should also protect the interior stairs if present. Extinguish fire. Conduct a primary search of the immediate fire area. Check for extension. Call for ventilation. Second due. First due truck functions. The officer and the firefighter will take care of forcible entry. The officer and the firefighter will conduct a primary search. The engineer will set up for booster backup and then become OVM, if already not assigned. OVM, outside vet man. Locate the fire room and prepare to open or take the window if and when directed. Set up PPV. Ladder second floor, if second story. If rig is foreman, the engineer may team up with another firefighter for outside team. Third due, establish a continuous water supply if not completed. If the third due is a ladder and no other ladders are on scene, consider switching water supply with another engine so as to get the ladder in position on the alpha side. Backup second line from primary apparatus unless directed by command. Fourth due, ventilation if prompted. Report to command and fill any immediate needs. Consider secondary search. Fifth due, RIT, company officer, performs perimeter sweep and secures utilities. Deploy ladders on multi-story units and secondary means of egress. If fifth due needs to fill another role other than RIT, IC can request at least 1 additional engine. Battalion Chief, assume incident command position. Manage incidents using incident command and the incident management system. Second Battalion Chief or Staff Chief, report to Incident Commander at Command Post. Safety Officer, bring all PPE to Command Post for possible deployment to division, group, or branch. Coordinate decon and rehab operations. Considerations: room should be left on the alpha side of the structure for a ladder truck placement should it be needed. Rig providing booster backup should consider pulling past the first due engine to leave room for the ladder. If the third due is a ladder and no other ladders are on scene, consider switching water supply with another engine so as to get the ladder in position on the alpha side. If water is within 100 feet of the first due apparatus, it is expected that first due will be able to secure its own water. Rescues can be married up with primary apparatus or assigned to another functions at the discretion of the command. Additional units should be requested when presented with any circumstances that is labor-intensive, such as long distance for water supply, confirmed victims, building hazards such as hurricane shutters or burglar bars, fires not able to be controlled with one hose line, multifamily residential structures greater than 4 living units. Strategic goal: life safety is the highest priority at all structure fires. The potential for loss of life is most prominent in residential occupancies. This objective should be achieved through interior fire containment and primary search. All operational tactics should be assigned to support this strategic goal. The rescue problem should be addressed by a thorough interior primary search for life that focuses on the tenable areas adjacent to the fire area, as well as the bedrooms and means of egress. Coordinated ventilation in this type of structure is critical in facilitating a primary search. This may be achieved through the removal or opening of selected windows where occupants may be located. In most cases, fire extinguishments should be achieved through an offensive interior attack. At times, Size up will indicate otherwise. However, personnel should anticipate an interior attack. The conservation of property without undue risk to firefighters should be a strategic goal throughout the entire incident. A high priority for multifamily occupancies is to check adjacent units for fire extension and/or smoke and remove occupants. Additional response: 4 engines, 1 ladder, 1 chief, 1 medic unit, 1 tender rural. Response guides. First due, attack. The first unit upon arrival will perform a scene size-up and transmit a report of conditions and establish command. Determine which mode of operations to initiate: investigative, offensive, or defensive. Deploy appropriate equipment and attack line of sufficient GPM flow and length to the fire area capable of confining, controlling, and/or extinguishing the fire. The initial attack line should be placed between the fire and possible trapped civilians. This line should also protect the interior stairs if present. Extinguish fire. Conduct a primary search in the immediate fire area. Check for extension. Call for ventilation. Second due. First due truck functions. Officer and firefighter will do forcible entry. Officer and firefighter will conduct a primary search. Second due. First due truck functions. Officer and firefighter are forcible entry. Officer and firefighter conduct a primary search. Engineer set up for booster backup and then become OVM if already not assigned. OVM, outside vent man, locate fire room and prepare to open or take window if directed. Set up PPV. Ladder second floor if second story. If rig is 4-man, engineer may team up with other firefighter for outside team. Third due. Second engine. Establish a continuous water supply if not complete. If the third due is a ladder and no other ladders are on scene, consider switching water supply with another engine so as to get the ladder in the position on the alpha side. Ventilation, if already not complete, check for extension. Evacuate adjacent units. Fourth due, backup second line from primary apparatus, unless directed by command. Complete unassigned functions as directed by command. Fifth due, RIT, company officer, perform a perimeter sweep and secure utilities. Deploy ladders on multi-story units and secondary means of egress. If fifth due needs to fill another role other than RIT, IC can request at least 1 additional engine. Battalion Chief, assume incident commander position. Manage incidents using the incident command and the incident management system. Second Battalion Chief or Staff Chief, report to incident commander at command post. Safety officer, bring all PPE to command post for possible deployment to division, group, or branch. Coordinate decon and rehab operations. Considerations: room should be left on the alpha side of the structure for a ladder or truck placement should it be needed. Rig providing booster backup should consider pulling past the first due engine to leave room for the ladder. If the third due is a ladder and no other ladders are on scene, consider switching water supply with another engine so as to get the ladder in the position on the alpha side. If water supply is within 100 feet of the first due apparatus, it is expected that the first due will be able to secure its own water. Rescues can be married up with their primary apparatus or assign another function at the discretion of the command. Additional units should be requested when presented with any circumstances that is labor intensive. Long distance for water supply. Confirm victims. Building hazards such as hurricane shutters or burglar bars. Fires not able to be controlled with one hose line. Commercial structure fire. Occupancy housing a business or service provider. These occupancies can include anything from standalone renovated buildings to strip malls and warehouses. Due to the size of the commercial structure, the priority must be to determine the fire location and extent. Fire attack should be initiated from the access closest to the fire. Units should stage as outlined below until fire location is known, so as to not have to reposition apparatus. Once the attack location is determined, resources should be deployed to support the fire attack. Initial response: 4 engines, 1 ladder, 1 chief officer, 1 medic unit. First due, investigative. The first unit upon arrival will perform a scene size-up, transmit a report of conditions, and establish command. Report to alpha side of structure, officer discretion, and determine location and extent of fire. Use rope bag instead of deploying hose until fire location and closest access is determined. Determine which mode of operation to initiate: investigative, offensive, or defensive. Supply FDC if it's in the vicinity. Second due, attack. Stage on Charlie side if capable. until report is given on fire location from first due. Fire attack for most appropriate location. Third due. Engine, water supply for fire attack apparatus. If attack engine has its own water supply established, supply the FDC. Backup line. Fourth due. Truck, position apparatus to check conditions on roof. Prepare for roof operations. Fifth due. Engine. RIT, company officer, performs perimeter sweep and secures utilities. Deploy ladders on multi-story units and secondary means of egress. Battalion chief assumes incident command position. Manage incidents using the incident command and the incident management system. Second battalion chief or staff chief report to Charlie side of structure and coordinate with command. Safety officer bring all PPE to command post for possible deployment to division, group, or branch. Coordinate decon and rehab operations. Tool assignments. Fire investigation. Officer will carry the tick and hook with the keys for fire attack. Tick and hook with irons. For search, tick and hook. RIT, tick and rope. Backup line, tick and irons. Engineer for fire investigation. Will pump. For fire attack, will pump. For search, hook, OVM, and outside team. For RIT, carry the RIT bag. Backup line will carry a hook. Firefighter at the nozzle. Fire investigation will carry the can and the irons. For a fire attack, will be on the nozzle. For search, will have irons. For RIT operations, will have irons. For backup line, will be on the nozzle. Firefighter irons. Fire investigation, irons from nozzle firefighter. Fire attack, irons from lieutenant. On search, irons outside team. RIT operations will take care of the hydrant. Backup line operations will carry irons. The officer will drop irons at the door. High-rise operations. High-rise playbook. Priority of first due crews is to meet up and go up to the fire floor to assess the problem. This is accomplished with a minimum of 5 personnel, 6 preferred. This crew will make up the attack team and search team once line is in place. This can be first to apparatus or first apparatus and rescue. Engine or a ladder and rescue. Marry up and go to the fire floor. Engine or a ladder and engine or ladder. Marry up and go to the fire floor. If first or second due is ladder, position it and leave it to be operated if needed by another crew. Next due apparatus, FDC. Officer and firefighter, lobby control, and elevator recall. Next due apparatus, front aerial placement. Officer and firefighter can be assigned as additional search team, RIT, or assist with aerial ops. First due at a high-rise. The first unit upon arrival will perform a scene size-up, transmit a report of conditions, and establish command. Example, engine number 2 on scene, 7-story high-rise structure. Engine number 2 is establishing Dorset Road command. Report to alpha side of structure, officer's discretion, and determine location and extent of fire from occupants and confirm on fire alarm panel. Determine which mode of operations to initiate, investigative, offensive, defensive, or transitional. Marry up with second due to investigate. Second due, high-rise operations. Report to alpha side of structure and marry up with first due to investigate. Engineers can remain in lobby to set up lobby command if third due is delayed. Third due engine, high-rise operations. FDC, engineer. Lobby command, elevator control, officer and firefighter. Fourth due truck at high-rise operations. Position apparatus for aerial use and search. Fifth due engine at high-rise operations. Set up RIT unless otherwise directed by command. Report to command. Company officer, perform perimeter sweep and secure utilities. Battalion chief, assume incident command position, maintain scene and crew accountability. Manage incidents using incident command and the incident management system. Second battalion chief or staff chief, report to lobby and prepare to be operations officer 2 floors below the fire. Bring all PPE to command post for possible deployment to division, group, branch, or any other position within the incident command system. EFR specific tool assignment for high-rise operations. Refer to page 22 of Chapter 12. Fireground assignments and benchmarks. Fireground assignments are broken down into functions or areas. Once a crew has been given an assignment, they lose their identity, i.e. Engine 43 on the radio, and they become assignment, attack. If no function assignment is given, but an area such as a division, that crew is responsible for every function in that area. Recon investigation mode, not interior. Crew. If only one crew operating can remain the unit number if more than one unit is operating on scene. Crew designation may change to their assignment or remain unit number. The mission of recon is to investigate the incident and see what, if anything, needs to occur to mitigate the call. Notify command of needs and allow command to assign those functions to that crew or another crew. Benchmarks. Engine 44 can handle. Recon has found the fire in the back bedroom. Engine 44 will be attack. Attack. The mission of attack is to coordinate suppression efforts in the assigned area. Benchmarks for attack. Water on the fire. Fire is knocked down. Additional lines will be attack 2 and 3, etc. Those additional lines may be assigned to a backup position. The mission of backup is to protect the interior working crews, attack, search, and other interior firefighters by pulling and strategically placing protective lines between the obvious or potential areas of fire spread, and to ensure egress if the retreat is necessary. Search. The mission of search is to coordinate search efforts in the area assigned. Benchmarks for search. All clear. This indicates that the primary search area has been conducted and that all savable victims have been removed from the structure. Everyone is out is not a benchmark, rather a report from a citizen or police officer that has not been confirmed firsthand. Use this on the radio to indicate just that. Ventilation. Mission of ventilation is to channel the products of combustion mechanically or naturally from the fire structure into a non-threatening area. Benchmarks for ventilation. Ventilation commenced. Natural or mechanical ventilation has started, or that an adequate hole has been opened on the roof. RIT. Mission of Rapid Intervention Team. Rapid Intervention Team is to search for and remove trapped, lost, or injured firefighters. Arriving on scene, RIT team should complete a 360, secure utilities if possible, throw ladders to upper floors or for secondary means of egress, and notify command of trouble. Hurricane shutters, burglar bars, or fortified doors. Benchmarks for RIT are as follows. 360 complete. RIT in place. Crew located. Lost or trapped crew members have been found. Crew outside. Lost or trapped crew members have been removed from the structure. Exposure. Mission of exposure is to prevent the spread and extinguish any fire in the assigned area. Benchmark for exposure. Exposures covered. Extension. Mission of extension is to check the area above, surrounding, and below the main body of fire for extension and to report the findings back to command. This is most often assigned to attack once the fire is knocked down, but a separate extension group may be assigned to check in the remote location from the main body of the fire. Benchmark for extension. Extension areas checked, or fire found in whatever area you may find it in. Salvage and overhaul. The mission of overhaul is to ensure that the fire is completely out and to pinpoint the area of origin. Benchmark for overhaul. Overhaul complete. Difference between extension and overhaul. Extension looks for fire spread, and overhaul ensures that the fire is completely out. The mission of salvage is to protect as much material within the structure as possible from the effects of fire, its byproducts, and suppression efforts. Benchmark for salvage is salvage complete. Water supply. Mission of water supply is to obtain a sustained water supply for the primary or other units assigned by command. Marks for water supply are sustained water supply.